When I came back to my body, there was no sound. It didn't feel like I had lost my hearing. It felt like the absence of sound. I wasn't fearful, but I noticed. I was paying attention. It was the first most prominent thing in my mind. There is no sound. People in my hospital room, the machines with the lights flashing, I assumed they were beeping. I saw people's mouths moving. I felt their urgency. I knew that they were yelling things to each other, and yet I could not hear a singular sound. The first thing that I heard was not through my ears, but inside of my body. I felt the word teachable. Welcome to the Plumb podcast. I'm Rosalee.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Plumb Collective. It was clear, it was concise, and it repeated. Teachable. I refer to that as hearing, even though it isn't something I heard with my human ears. It's something I knew in my spirit, in my soul, in my body, in my everything. I heard teachable. When I heard it, I knew what it meant. And I knew that I was kind of far from it. What I knew that it meant in the instant was that I needed to be teachable. The experience I had just had was incredible, but it wasn't over. It was going to continue. I was going to understand more as time went on. In the moment where I couldn't hear sound, but I heard teachable, it was a moment of choice. There were many moments of choice throughout the Void experience, but this one was the one that sticks with me probably the most. To be able to hold the experience, I knew I needed to be different than I had ever been before. This wasn't diminishing to me. It wasn't something that I felt bad about or that I should have been a different way before. It was just a knowing, a sense of like, if you want this, you have to play by these rules. This is the new game. You just didn't know how to play it before. No one shared with you these rules. Nobody told you how to play the game. It's not the game that most of us are playing. We can see and feel and know by the world's events that there is a game being played. December 4th, 2015, I felt a new game. Teachable had multiple meanings. This is a clear example of how I receive information and how I deliver it. I often joke that I feel a little bit like Mother Goose. I'm handing out riddles because that is what it feels like. There's the surface meaning that's right there, that's obvious and available for everybody. And then there's more. There's always more. It often requires us to shift something in ourselves to be able to understand, acknowledge, or even notice the more. I knew that I needed to be teachable. That was very clear. But I also knew that what I had just experienced was teachable. I have had this knowing from childhood, from when I was 5 years old. I pictured myself with a little headset microphone in front of an audience, delivering really moving speeches. I've shared writing of mine recently from when I was about 12 years old, where I gave myself the Golden Pen Award for the fullness of my work, not even really knowing what it was, but I knew that Oprah and Ricki Lake were also up for the award, and I won. I've had a deep knowing that I'm here to do something different. How people respond to me and relate to me has also proven that to me over the course of my life. It's not always been pleasant to be me. I've been called a lot of things. Maybe the kindest, most accurate way to say what it is that I do. People will refer to me as a mirror. My presence, just my way of being, reflects them to themselves in a way that they've never seen themselves before. The people closest to me and my clients feel who they are without judgment, being in relationship with me, being listened to by me, being seen by me, is like looking in the mirror. Often people don't want to look. They don't want to know. But when you do want to know, when you're curious about who you are and you would like to see yourself reflected back to you from a new perspective, to see something about yourself that makes everything make sense, then you want to talk to me. Then you want to be close to me. But if you're not interested in that, I recommend you stay far away from me. I will show you who you are. And sometimes, like for the villains of the Void, me being who I am showed them who they are. I didn't like what I saw, and neither did they. I knew I had a long recovery ahead of me. Even though I couldn't hear, I felt the urgency in the room. I could feel how dire the situation was and how close I was to not coming back to my body. I felt the reverence for the experience in the moment. I felt the respect and the awe and the wonder. I felt how fun it would be, and I felt how far away from it I was. I felt the gap. I felt where I was in the hospital bed with a team of people around me fighting to save my life. I also felt where I feel I am right now, right before it all happens, before everyone knows my name, before they all know healing doesn't have to be hard and feeling your feelings can be fun. I knew that I would be able to teach what I felt in the void. I knew I needed to shift things within myself to be able to do that. I knew before I could get to work on what had just happened, I needed to recover. I needed to heal my body. I had more surgery ahead of me, but before I could have that surgery, I needed to heal. It still irritates me just even thinking about it now that I was cut open. Big incision, horrible. And I couldn't be stitched up. I had to have wound packing and eventually a wound vac, a vacuum that, it's unimaginable. If you have experienced it, I send you so much love. It is torture. It's cruel, and yet it is what is required to heal when your body is split open. They needed me to heal all the way closed before they could cut me open again. And I understand, and I know that I needed to get stronger and that it would have been too dangerous and all the things. My autistic brain and the logic and the just being well, just go in. It's already open. Go in now. Be efficient. And it's well, that's not how it works, kid. That's not how it works. So it was processing all of the things that were happening to me. Also, the Hat Man lived in my house. He was in my house. He had all of my things. He had access to the videos and the photos and my computer, and I was afraid. I wanted him out. I wanted to be safe. I didn't feel safe in the hospital bed. I didn't feel that my things were safe in my home, and there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't move. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk. All I could do was lay there. And then the villains filtered in and out, and then I felt really alone. Because I knew no one was coming to help me. I knew I would have to get stronger and help myself. The milkman sat guard at my bed. And I will be forever grateful to him for that. It is the way that I've survived. To have one dangerous person who loved me, one person who I was afraid of, but I could handle. I knew he would protect me from the world, and specifically protect me from the Hat Man. They never met, but they knew about each other. There would not have been a fight. The milkman would have demolished the Hat Man, no doubt about it. Even before this happened, they were ready to go to blows. But after this happened, I had to make the milkman promise me that he would not come by my house and that he would let someone else take care of that part. People will watch true crime for entertainment. They'll listen to stories like mine and fantasize about it. And I know that that's a risk of me putting myself out there. There's a disconnect. We know these stories happen. Netflix takes them and makes a bunch of money off of them. We watch it. and we think what we would do in that situation or what they should have done. We think of it like they're not actual real people. But I am a real person. I was in pain. I was in a weakened state. I was bleeding, and I was all alone. There's things that I wish the people around me had done differently. I asked for what I wanted. I asked for what I needed. I wrote emails. I tried, but I was so weak. I was on so much pain medication. It took me 8 hours to write an email to the Hat Man and his family. I would write a little bit. Before I knew it, I would be asleep and my phone would fall out of my hand onto the floor. And then I'd be out for a period of time. And then when I'd wake up, I couldn't find my phone. And then I'd have to call. And then someone would eventually come and get it off the floor, and then I would start this process over again. For a full 8 hours, I wrote an email. I will share it. I haven't read it since that time. I want to read it and record myself reading it for the first time, like I did the baby notebook, like I did Joe Journal, like how the diner works. To be able to be a mirror for myself, to see my own reflection, to hear my own words, to feel the energy underneath my words. It's the gift of the void. I had it in me all along. All of us do. It's my belief the void is where we come from and where we go to. When you hear my story, it feels connected to you because it is. Because you know where I'm speaking from. When you have the feeling inside of yourself of wanting to go home, but it's not a physical location, it's my belief it's the void. It is the most peaceful, neutral, no sound. It's a lack of sensory experience, which as a human being, even if you're disconnected from yourself, you know that you have your 5 senses. You know that you're taking in information and that you're registering it with your antenna, with your human meat sac. It's so much a part of our experience, most of us never even notice it. We don't notice our sensory experience is what makes us alive. The difference between being alive in my body and being dead in the void was my senses, my body, my personality. Before the void experience, people would say that I was like a dog with a bone. I would get a hold of something, a whiff, a intuitive nudge, and I wouldn't let it go. I would just gnaw and chew on it until it was completely demolished, until I knew it all, till I got down to the root of it. That quality works really great for a lot of things. In my beauty career, the biggest part of my clientele was color corrections, people that came from other stylists. I knew what to do. I knew how to fix it. Doing color corrections, being able to find the problem, know the solution, and do everything that it takes to fix it, that kind of tenacity made my clients really happy. It produced beautiful work. Then in my interpersonal relationships, I would notice something. I wouldn't be able to let it go until I sniffed it all the way out. I've been called a bloodhound, a truffle pig, a bitch, a witch, an angel, the devil. I'm polarizing. What you see is who you are when you look at me. If you're able to hear me, I love you. How creative and open and kind and playful you are. Because that's the frequency that I'm on, that I'm speaking to. And I knew when I needed to be teachable, I couldn't grip it. I knew that there would be so many concepts and ideas and hypotheses and predictions that I needed to hold my hands open. I needed to be lighthearted and light-handed. I needed to be able to just let something float across me and look at it and turn it upside down, move it around, and look at it from all angles without gripping the shit out of it. But so many of us do. And before I died, I did. When I was in the void, I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to make it make sense. And I had this sense of someone next to me that was like, no words, but just a vibe of like, it doesn't work that way. No. And it was very gentle acknowledgement of what I was doing. You need to get cool with this if you're going to be here in this experience. That first lesson of being teachable was gentleness, instruction, clarity, and choice. Like, you can keep doing what you're doing, but you're going to miss this. And it wasn't shameful. It wasn't anything. It was just truth. If you keep doing that, you can keep doing that. But if you keep doing that, you're going to miss this. So if you actually do want to figure it out, like you're saying you do, be here. Be open. Feel. The time for figuring it out will come, but it's not now. It's not while you're in it. When you're in it, to be present, to be open, to notice. And so that's what I did. I'll play the game. During my recovery, long, hard, painful, made worse by the villains recovery, I was playful. I've always been playful. But there was a connection to who I was before what happened to me in that house that I felt, that I noticed. I couldn't have put words to it at the time, but I sensed it. I knew that was possible for me in any moment. As many moments as I choose to be playful, it can be playful. So even in the hospital, with medical students surrounding my bed, with a stick, a wooden dowel, and 26 inches of gauze. Even then I was playful. Even when I was screaming and I asked, who is making that noise? When I had to be told, that's you. You're screaming. In those moments, I was teachable. I was open. I was noticing everything because I knew everything was a part of it. And I didn't even really know what it was, except this feeling that I've had since I was 5. It's had different names. I knew that I wasn't going to do it on my own. I knew that there would be people with me, but I didn't know what that meant. There was so much I didn't know, but I was starting to discover it. When I do intuitive photo readings for my clients, there's a symbol that happens for me that feels very much like what I'm describing. When I read for someone and I ask a question or I go closer to a topic, if it's something that your energy needs you to discover, if it's something that I can't tell you, I will be met with a white wall. I'll be able to get really close and I'll see things and hear things and know things and, be able to sense like, ooh, whose energy is what and where and what happened and this injury and that. And then if I go just a little bit farther and it's something that your energy needs you to discover, I will feel a white wall. It's my symbol. It's my signal to know that it is not for me to know. It's for you to discover. As you shift, everything around you shifts. Inside of those shifts, you will learn things about yourself. Things will become obvious to you. When we're at a concert, and if there was something obstructing our vision, well, I can't see the show. I cannot see it. What's even happening? Like, I can't see it at all. It might be obvious to the people around you. They can see it, but you can't see it from your perspective. The kind of work I do helps people to shift. Sometimes they dissolve that pillar that's in front of them, but sometimes it's simply moving to the side or turning your head, and the whole world becomes available. Everything opens up. Sometimes just move out of the way. I've had millions of those moments since December 4th, 2015. I continue to be teachable today. I'm recording Enter the Void on January 31st, 2025. I've been feeling around trying to figure out like which direction I want to go with this story. Do I want to talk about the bad men of the void? Do I want to talk about this? Do I want to talk about that? Just kind of going through what's my next move. The last couple of weeks have been challenging for me. It stirred up things from my childhood, things from the void experience. There's just a lot. When thinking about continuing this story, I just couldn't feel which direction to go. I follow the feeling. If I don't know, I won't go. Like, it just isn't worth it to me to push myself or force myself to do something that I'm not inspired by. I ask questions of people in my life. Part of following the feeling sometimes is me following my finger. I will be finger led. I will go through a photo album on my phone or old recordings, different files. I will sometimes do like roulette with it, where I'll just spin and stop it on something. That's the playful, lighthearted, light-handed attitude of being teachable, of just making things fun. When I didn't know which direction to go, I went to fun. In that process, I ended up finding a recording that I made exactly 1 year ago, which happens to me all of the time. There's so much synchronicity when you connect to yourself. It really feels like I have left Easter eggs for myself throughout this process. It is my core belief that is true for all of us. When we connect to our sensations, when we notice how we feel in those subtle ways, we build a relationship with ourselves. We build connection to ourselves. We end up finding Easter eggs and buried treasure that we don't remember that we buried long ago. Little nuggets from our soul self to let us know you're on the right track. Keep going. Head this way. All along the way, I have experienced that. It's no surprise, and yet it still excites me every single time it happens. When there's a synchronicity, it really does feel like magic. I was scrolling through, trying to find something to inspire this episode of the Plumb podcast. I ended up finding this recording of me, January 31st, 2024. I would like to share it with you now. We knew a different name would eventually come forward and be so it. The working title as we were putting things together, How to Unfuck Yourself. You're fucked? Well, let's get unfucked. It made us laugh. We ended up with the diner. It's maybe not the smartest idea to name an online course or all of the things that you create some weird names or names that aren't common in the lexicon. If you know me, if you know anything about my story, you know the house I was raised in was attached to a diner. Let me tell you, I did not think for a second that the name of this course had to be the diner, but everything lined up. My internal guidance system, my intuition, was leaving this trail of Easter eggs, these clues, this treasure map to this moment where Sarah said to me, I think we should call it the diner. Not at all thinking about the diner, Rosalee's Diner, like the actual building. It was called Rosalee's Diner. It's a whole big thing, but I rebranded and I called it the diner. I manifested my way out of the house of horrors that I lived in that just happened to be, it was such a weird house, and the fact that it was connected to an actual working restaurant is just bizarre. But that was my life. It was bizarre to have an actual physical structure, an environment that caused me so much harm, end up being the only name that this course could be called. That surprised me and feels so special and so perfect. Now the diner has a different meaning. It's a magical place. It's an environment where healing happens. We have franchisees, different diners, your name and the diner. It was Rosalee's Diner as a physical location. Now I have my own healing space that is Rosalee's Diner, and you can have yours. You can have your own diner. You can have your own place where you tell your story to yourself in this unique way. Helps you see yourself. Calling it unfuck your fucked up life. Get unstuck and unfucked and heal. Actually, for real. Didn't seem like the right names to call it. Everything I'm talking about is because of the diner. I could not be expressing myself and posting on TikTok if I didn't participate in the diner, if I didn't make it for myself. I made it for me, to heal me, and it works on everybody else. That's amazing. That's so cool. I understand if you're not ready and if you're not interested and if you think it's weird. I understand that too, but I'm not going to stop talking about it. I love it so much. It is the best thing I've ever done for myself. Child me gets to celebrate and feel included in this amazing thing that adult me brought to fruition. I mean, it's dreams come true. It's life purpose. The whole point, squeezing the juice out of the lemons I was given, making my life mean something to me. It's okay if no one else understands it. It's wild and seems unbelievable. I wish it wasn't true. It is true. I am taking command of it and empowering myself with it. I'm not getting over it or leaving it in the past. I've integrated. I'm going to continue integrating for the rest of my life. Healing isn't a one and done thing. To make it fun and interesting and something that's repeatable, this is a continuous course. You purchase it once and then you can use it for the rest of your life. It becomes part of just how I see the world. Sometimes I'm not actually doing the things that we instruct. I'm still playing the game, and that's fucking cool. It keeps working on me. It keeps expanding me. I listen to the videos, I listen to the audios, I write, I record myself, I participate in the course for myself. It doesn't get old. It isn't boring. It isn't like I bought something and it's sitting unused. I have a lot of online courses like that I never click on. This one I go back to constantly. It is so good. It's efficient, it's effective, it's fun. It's the diner. Isn't that wild? I've been saying the same thing this whole time. The more teachable I am, the easier it is for me to teach what I know. That's true for all of us. That's true for you. The more you're willing to learn from yourself, the more willing we are to be wrong, to not know, the more curious we are, the more playful we are. There's a magnetism and fun and trust. I trust myself because I notice my sensations, because I make my sensory experience my priority. My life from the inside is the most important view. It doesn't matter what it looks like to anybody else. It matters what it feels like to me, to be me in my life. I knew that I needed to be teachable. I knew I needed to heal. I knew what I was creating was for me, to help myself. I knew that Plum Practice and the diner were for me, so I made them for me. I was insistent on that. Anything that didn't feel good to me had to go. Anything that was not sustainable for me, absolutely not. Anything that felt too hard or I just didn't like it, gone. I was ruthless with my editing, but everything was on the table. I think that creates the best kind of art. Full feeling and the ability to cut the things that just don't feel right, even when you love them. Prune the plant so that it can grow strong. I knew things needed to go. It's sad to me that some of that was people, that some of the people that were my chosen family ended up becoming the villains of the void. I tried for them to be with me through this experience. I have extended what I created to help them follow the breadcrumbs to themselves. But to be teachable, to be loose and open and wide. We can all point to a time where someone has asked a question that was very narrow, that was tight, that you really could only answer one way, the only acceptable answer. And if you answer a different way, you're going to be met with trouble or problems, or you're going to have to hear it and you don't want to. So you just, okay. Like, that is tight and closed and narrow, and there's no room for you to explore or be yourself. And what I felt in the void, what I experienced, was that it was everything and nothing. We give the meaning to everything. I had this sense, this presence with me of like, can you hear the sirens? I felt the presence of the void. And that was the feeling that I followed. I studied it, spent years examining every single part of it. I put everything under a microscope. I tested every theory with multiple people from different backgrounds and different traumas. I'm thorough. The dog with the bone didn't leave me. It's not gone from me. I just learned how to channel it. I learned how to take all of the parts of me, the parts that felt like not that great, and the parts that I really liked, integrate them and work together as a team for the common goal of teaching the void, teaching the experience that I felt, having it be something that is so real that you feel it in your body too. I've done it. I've accomplished it. I continue to create from that environment. My clients, my loved ones benefit from the experience I had in the void. Assassination attempts, not cool. Shouldn't have happened. But it did. I have the knowledge. I have the experience. I have the feeling in my body. It never went away. I think because I chose it, and I chose it, and I chose it, and I chose it, and every choice I made led me closer to the feeling. When I created the diner, I knew that it was the void, but as a game. The layered writing process is a way to connect with the different layers of your identity, of who you are, who you maybe don't want to be, and who you wish you'd be. It's a way to time travel. You can go to the past, you can go to the future, and you can be in the present. We teach you how to be present. The diner is time travel. All of the pitfalls, all of the things that could get in your way, that could prevent you from knowing who you really are. It's all there. All of the instructions you would ever need. Fine-tune anything you're experiencing to feel it and distill it down so that you know what to do in your own life. The diner provides support who you are right now in this moment and who you hope to be. The diner grows with you. You start it at the level that you are, and it expands as you expand. Your capacity grows when you enter the diner. The diner is magic. It's the void realized. No near-death experience needed. All you need to do is push play. Something will happen. You will meet your soul self. I love you, and I want this for you. It has been everything for my life. I made it so that it could be yours. I grew up in a building called Rosalee's Diner. I created the diner so that you could put your name in front of it, that you could heal with me, that you could see yourself and be your own best friend. We're not alone. You might not be in connection with your soul self. You might not be able to hear or feel or sense or know the words right now, but you can learn to speak your own language. The diner is the way. It's the guidebook, instruction manual. It's the rules for the new game, and it's my life's purpose. The diner is the void. I want you to meet yourself in the diner. I want you to know what it is to feel what I feel about who I am. I want you to see yourself through the judgment-free lens that I see you. It is possible, and it's available to you when you enter the diner.
The void is in every single one of our offerings, and every offering that we have is its own unique starting point. You can start with whatever is drawing your attention, whatever feels like it's pulling you. You can follow that nudge. If you want to start with our free guided practice of the mirror, you can do that. If you want to start with a photo reading, start there. If you want to dive into our online course, Enter the Diner. It is a magical place. If you want to join the Plumb Practice membership, come join us there. We'd love to have you. We'll have links to all of our offerings in the description box of this episode. And you can also sign up for our email list so you can stay connected with us going forward. Tune in next week for a new episode of the Plumb podcast. The conversation will be different, but we will always express ourselves authentically, and we create the space for you to do the same.